actual election, that they actually stand a chance and your vote is not going to waste, because that is the worst possible outcome, okay? Considering that they actually have a potential to win, then go ahead and continue to vote for them. But the reality is we are 2 months away from the election, and there is no fucking world where either Kamala or Trump wins. And as a result, if you are voting for anything but Kamala and Trump, your vote is going nowhere, means nothing. You have contributed to fuck all. And guess what? You have basically said, I don't care if Trump gets voted into presidency. And you are probably biggest fucking scum as far as I'm concerned. You're worse than somebody voting for Trump. Like consciously.
So what's your opinion on me officially abstaining in the election? As in, I'm going
You're
to
a fucking idiot.
Get to the head
You're
of
a fucking
idiot.
You're a fucking idiot. You might as well
I
be
completely disagree with Trump's
the
foreign
panel,
policy, but I'm not. I completely disagree with Kamala's domestic policy. I can't bring myself.
The
to
problem
vote for
is,
either.
which one is better? That's all you need to ask yourself.
Both of them are equally
Stop
important. You're
the
asking
idea.
me to choose one or
this
the
is
other. No,
asinine.
I'm not going to betray part of my morals for some other.
This is asinine. You are not 7 years old, North. You are 20 years of age, and you need to start acting like an adult, okay? In reality is when you grow up, the reality is we don't always get what we fucking want in life. The reality is we have to compromise, make sacrifices, negotiate, deal with issues that we have in life. We don't get what we fucking want. And as a result, if you don't decide to take responsibility and you don't decide to stand on your ground, reality is you're probably going to get fucked over in life. So what we do is we choose the lesser of two evils. Welcome to reality. That's what
I'm
it looks
refusing
like.
to choose for none of the two
You can
evils.
refuse anything you want. You're going to be a man-child. You're going to be a man-child. That's essentially saying, hey, I don't want to take on...
I don't want either candidate to win. That's my issue. That's
it doesn't matter what you want, North.
One of them is going to win. That's the issue.
Yes.
Well, it does matter what I want, because that's the whole point of voting, is we vote for what we want personally.
No,
it's not the whole point of voting. The point of voting is to try to make the world a better place. That's what we try to do.
What you want
voting
is unrealistic.
Your personal views and your personal convictions, and you're putting that to the government, and you're saying, I want this person to represent my views. That's how we work in a republic.
Yeah, but why are you voting for that person?
But I don't think either of them represent my views, so I'm abstaining.
It doesn't matter.
But why do you want? Okay, I'm asking, why do you want to vote for someone who represents your views?
I'll be right back.
Why do I want someone to represent my views?
Why do you want to vote for someone who is representing your views?
Why do I want someone who isn't representing my views to be in government?
I'm just asking, what's the point of voting for someone who represents your views?
What's the point of voting for someone who represents my views? Because they're going to implement my views into government.
Okay, yep. And why do you want to do that?
If they are elected. Because I want those views to be implemented in the government. That's
okay, why?
The reason why. Why? Because I agree with them. Okay,
great. Well, I'm asking what the aim is, not like
what the aim is, so that they're implemented.
What is the aim of these policies?
So that they're implemented.
What are you trying? What is the aim? What is the aim in implementing them?
The aim of so that they're implemented. What do you mean? What the aim is?
Oh my God!
To make things better? Is that what you're trying to say?
Correct. Yes, to make things better. Yes. Correct. We should strive to make things better. Okay. So, if you want to make things better, and one candidate is better than the other, I understand you think they're both equal, but one candidate is better than the other, you should probably vote for the one that's quote-unquote the lesser two evils, the one that's better, because they're the ones that is actually going to make things better, versus voting for Jill Stein or Chase Oliver, who are never going to win. They're not going to make things better.
I think if I voted for Trump, our foreign policy is going to be completely fucked. It's going to be completely fucked. We're going to be internationally isolated. We have another 4 years of us being a laughing stock. It's going to be completely fucked. And if we vote for Kamala as president, well, she's going to implement she's going to do a lot of strengthening of the federal government, which I'm going to be completely disagreeing with. And I think it's going to interfere with my and the rest of America's personal lives with what she's going to try to do. So, either one, it's just completely fucked. So I'm just going to be officially abstaining. And other Americans who disagree with both candidates, I think they should be abstaining as well to make their voice heard, saying we don't want either of these people to be in office. It's a statement.
All right, we'll run through it on the panel after the debate. We're covering all this ground before we make the panel to talk about specifically
this is a panel thing, not a... Yeah, totally not shilling that there. Yeah, twitch.tv/thatguysnorth.
Twitch.tv/nonfon420. My stream is awesome. It has Subway Surfers on it for all your ADHD folks out there.
My stream is what is it? ABC News, or sorry, NBC News. It's just playing what's happening on NBC News. With no audio.
Mine's happening. Mine's doing that too. But I also have Subway Surfers for ADHD stuff.
Of course, Subway Surfers. That's how you get the attention of the TikTok Zoomers. I fucking hate TikTok. I'm not gonna lie.
TikTok is the worst fucking platform ever.
I refuse to install it whatsoever. I've installed Reddit from all of my devices. I want to uninstall Twitter. I probably should uninstall Twitter, honestly. It's fucking cancer. I made an account on Twitter like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Literally the worst decision I've ever made in my life. Like literal Nazis, tanky communists. Is, like I have one. Twitter, there's like one group that's like sucking the cock of Joseph Stalin, and then there's another group over there, and they're sucking the cock of Adolf Hitler. Like what the fuck is going on Twitter that's allowing this shit to happen?
Yeah, Twitter's awesome.
Oh my god.
TikTok,
I hate that
as a creator, TikTok is unbelievably annoying to use. For what their website.
It's not just that their platform is like bad and like a design standpoint. I mean, for society, I think TikTok is horrible.
Oh no, I understand.
It literally is that book. What's that one book called? The one that they burned the books. Fahrenheit
451.
451. Yes, it's literally Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, I understand. I think it's probably bad for society too. I'm just saying. Also, as a creator, oh my god, they're a $1 billion company, and their website is jack shit. It is unbelievable how poorly designed their desktop website is. Oh my god,
okay, that's literally every single social media platform. That's
ban North for being a fake MAGA.
Oh my god, and it's also
I'm not a MAGA, so.
Yeah, he's already said he's not voting.
But...
In times of extremity like this, I can see what you're saying, but in general, third-party votes do make a difference when neither member meets one's standards. Yes, it works.
Why wouldn't you just vote in the primaries?
Yes, it works during. Wait, is it general election? Is it the first one where you vote? And
the primary elections are the first one.
Primary elections. Okay, and you vote in the primaries, and then the people speak out, and now you have a direction of what seems to be the likely outcome. Considering that now you're left with two options, guess what? You now have to choose. You don't get to choose whether you're going to be affected by the choice made. You are going to be affected. If Trump gets into presidency, you're going to see America shaped in one way. If Kamala gets voted into president, you're going to see her America in a different way. The question is, which one do you prefer more? You don't get another option. You don't get to not play. This is essentially like saying you're a kid and you're going to go and play some sports
my Wi-Fi,
with your
replug
friends,
everything in, no clue what's going on.
Two teams have been made, a blue team and a red team.
Spectrum hates me.
And because neither team meets your exact standards, you're saying, oh, I don't want to play. Okay, awesome. Like, you're a fucking loser.
Saying, no. You'd be a loser if you didn't play. Yeah, if I wasn't voting at all. But I am voting. I am officially voting, and I'm officially abstaining. That's what I'm doing.
That's
I'm putting my voice out there.
No, it's not. It doesn't mean anything.
I'm putting my voice out there, and I'm saying I disagree with both candidates.
There is no such thing as abstaining.
That is why we vote to begin with, is to get our voices out there.
This is a false narrative. North, this is a false narrative. This is a child's mindset of that me not reacting is going to change anything.
I want to save the conversation with North for the debate. I'm curious what's happening.
About how she attained her position in politics, that kind of thing.
Well, Donald Trump is very good looking. He'll be the first to tell you that.
But I really ultimately think that, you know, whenever people are more
well, like Al Gore would have won Florida for one of their parties. Yeah, some people think that at least it was I think Ralph Nader. It was a spoiler effect.
And they can't buy as much for their families.
I don't know enough about it, but
their gas tank, and they
oh my
can't
God,
fill it
the
up
gas,
as much.
the gas.
Ultimately, I think that elections come down to kitchen table issues. And again, you don't have to love everything about him. You might not even want to hang out with Donald Trump, but whenever you look at your life and the future for this country, you know between these two individuals, you cannot survive 4 more years of what this country has just been through, and that is exactly what
4 more years of like the highest real wage growth for low-income workers.
Worked. They made life better for people all across this country. They kept us safe, and he will do
and
it
lower
again
GDP growth as well.
Right. Laura Trump, thank you for being with us. Let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Peter Alexander, who is covering Vice President Harris's campaign. What's the view from there?
Well, Lester, let's start with some new reporting into NBC News. According to 3 people familiar with their conversations, Kamala Harris and the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, the 2016 Democratic
Hillary Clinton here,
have spoken within the last several days, where Clinton provided Harris advice and guidance as the only other woman to do a debate like this, one-on-one with Donald Trump in the past. Among that advice, we're told specifically that Clinton told Harris that Trump may try to debate her during the course of the conversation, as we've witnessed in the past, and specifically said that if that happens, that she should turn it back on Donald Trump himself and try to provoke him directly. One thing to keep an eye on as we anticipate these two on stage a short time from now. We're told that Clinton and Harris have spoken several times over the course of the last several months since she became the Democratic nominee. We've also been hearing from those in and around the Harris preparations for this debate, telling us, among other things, that she had a series of mock debate sessions, many of them happening here in the state in Pittsburgh.
I heard that, yeah, she hired an actor to play as Trump.
They had, so she could have the real experience and the stage on which she would stand. That she has watched some debate clips of Donald Trump in the past to prepare herself for what she may anticipate tonight. We're also hearing now from her husband. Of course, he is the first second gentleman of the United States. Could he be the first gentleman if he wins? Well, if she wins, well, we heard from him in the form of a tweet a short time ago where he said in part, and I'll pull it up to read to you, Kamala, I can't wait for everyone to see you in action tonight. You've got this, and I've got you. Earlier in a separate post, he said that she is ready. He could tell it by looking into her eyes, and said that she can smell weakness and knows how to confront a coward. Her campaign, her experience as a former prosecutor will benefit her tonight the same way that she prosecuted some of those Supreme Court nominees in the past. Brett Kavanaugh.
That is true. She has done well. There are a lot of good clips of her in the Senate.
She'll be able to prosecute the case against Donald Trump tonight. All things to keep an eye on as we get started here on a historic evening in Philadelphia.
All right, Peter, thank you. For more, let's bring in North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, who is a surrogate for the
Harris Roy Cooper,
Governor,
let's go.
So 60% of voters, nearly 60% in a recent poll, said they want to see change. Kamala Harris is the incumbent vice president. How do you make the argument that she's a change candidate when she's been in office for 3.5 years?
It's vice president. Shit. Also, we've seen change. Mentioned the Inflation Reduction Act, high-breaking vote.
She and Joe Biden have established as president and vice president are bringing change to this country.
True.
With investment in high-speed internet, fighting prescription drug
which was in North Carolina.
Expanding health insurance, investing in infrastructure. Those things are long generational investments that are changing America, and that's a good thing. But she's also laid out her own economic plan. She sees that people
her issue page is now up.
She understands child care, unlike Donald Trump, who clearly doesn't have a clue about child care.
That's a hilarious clip that Donald Trump answering the child care question.
Look after children. She wants to reinstate the child care tax credit. She wants to help small businesses instead of big corporations. So I think she can lead tonight. She can lead with her path for a new way forward and really bring a lot of people who have been disaffected, who really haven't voted the last few times. I think that she can excite them. History is going to be made this year. And North Carolina voted for Barack Obama in 2008.
True.
Vote for Kamala Harris in 2024.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
51-49, instead of it all going to one party, it'll just be split between. So
yeah,
like
but in
Ohio,
the end, the same conclusion comes about, the same result. Right? 51-49, whoever's 51 will win.
If it's 51, they'll get all the electoral votes. I'm saying that if a state goes 51-49, they should split that between the two. It should be 50-50 or nearly that.
Oh, yeah. Well, the state should.
Wait, what? I'm confused now. If it's 51-49, then the one who's 51 should win.
Well, but the problem is they get all of the state's electoral votes when almost half the state didn't vote for them. So, like, that's the reason why candidates can lose the popular vote but still win the electoral college.
Yes, which is I think it should be that's why I think it should be reformed. But the problem is you can't reform that from the federal government level because the states have a right to determine how their candidates are chosen.
Yeah, how they run elections. Yep.
Yeah, so in order for that to be
except for enforcing the 14th Amendment, thanks Supreme Court, but yeah.
Okay, what downsides are there to this? What is the downside to doing
downsides?
People are stupid.
I mean, there's no longer swing states, I guess. So that's like a thing. I guess if you like swing states,
I mean, the original purpose, right, is the founding fathers just wanted a check on the population's power. It was just another check on the tyranny of the majority. But yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so this will like bring back majority rules or some shit like that?
It'll make it so whoever wins the
it'll help with people who win the popular vote actually winning.
Oh wait, so this is basically just like, okay, we're just going to reiterate whatever the people voted for instead of like having an electoral college.
It's like reforming the electoral college instead of getting rid of it.
Wait, this sounds like the electoral college has no say in the matter, considering if it falls like in any case like 56% vote for fucking Kamala, then obviously Kamala's going to win in that place, correct?
So
in that like single state.
Yeah, in that single state.
And she gets all of the electoral votes from that state.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't think it would actually affect the elections that much. Why is my stream doing this? I don't think it'll affect, because I feel like it would balance out. Like for every Republican candidate that every Republican electoral vote you would gain, you would like lose a Republican electoral vote to like the Democrats. So I think it'd be pretty even.
I don't really know a lot about this. I've never heard of. No, I have heard of this, but again, it's just the same talking point of you want basically only the people. But as far as I'm concerned, the Electoral College's job is not just to relay that information onto the fucking Senate. The idea is the Electoral College
basically the role they serve now. Technically, I think part of the initial point was to allow for like faithless electors, where like if an elector, because electors are just people, if an elector like thought that some candidate was totally fucking absurd, they could vote against their state's population.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
most states have laws against that, but technically they are still allowed in some. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure like that is one of the main reasons for why the Electoral College exists. This is what I was arguing about with like 10 people at some point and they were all convinced that no, that's not the job of the Electoral College. And I was arguing that there is something more to it, which is literally what you just said now. That yes, it is within their right, and the whole reason they exist is to be able to have the power to do that. And I agree with that. That makes sense. You don't just want to elect a president simply because a lot of people agree to it on the basis.
That's literally the way you don't elect a president because a lot of people agree with it. Is that like the whole point of a democratic system?
The democratic system? I mean, yeah, democracy requires that people like have a say in the voting process and have a say in the mix, but there's a lot more to it than that. You're like, okay, fair enough. What happens now? What happens if it's just a what if game, essentially? Like you're going to have to challenge it and think, well, what the fuck's going to happen?
We try to prevent tyrannies of the majority, like if everyone in the country voted for like slavery, to be reenacted.
Exactly. So we know we have examples in history, and I can think of like a lot of examples of where you wouldn't want the fucking majority to win simply because they're the majority. You don't want that to be the case. We've already been down this path. We already know what that looks like. We already
just saying. I wish the people that I disagree with didn't win the election.
Yeah, but you're framing it as if, in the case that we have the Electoral College having this say in the mix, then basically the people are not essentially voting.
A Republican in California should have the same chance at winning electoral vote as a Democrat in Kentucky. Like, that they should both have the same chances at winning electoral votes.
Yeah, but what if fucking California is like much more benefited simply for natural reasons, not really anything intrinsically, and Kentucky is more in line with the Republicans? Like, what if, I'm going to try and think of a good example. Let's just say like Democrats are in favor of like water sanitization to a level that is maximum, and it benefits them because they don't really they have a lot of water. But in like Kentucky, yeah, you don't really have a lot of water, and that aligns more with the Republicans. Okay, well, do you still want that representation even though the state itself is not vastly represented by Democrats? You wouldn't want that. Like, they're not like.
But it's going to happen anyway. You're just saying different states have different policies.
No, it's not. Not with the Electoral College, the way it's set up, the way it is, or at least, well, like Non-Font said, I'm actually surprised to hear that the majority of states do not allow like them to intervene. But I would even argue they should be allowed to intervene because that's their specific job. Like, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to step in and say to the people, I know you guys want this, but what you actually want is A, B, and C. And what this person is going to give you is not any of those three things. And they're actually going to give you D, E, and F. And there's something during that process that you didn't realize is going on. And even though you're voting for A, B, and C, you're not actually going to get it. And actually, if I go ahead and vote for the other person, you are going to get A, B, and C. So you might not get who you wanted, but you're going to get what you wanted, which at the end of the day is what matters. And so, yeah. Like,
I don't know if we should have that in a modern democracy anymore. I feel like we can pass for that. We also have, well, we're supposed to have other checks. The 14th Amendment one is kind of gone, but
I think it's beautiful to think that we're always going to get it right every single time, but fuck me, if we had a fucking system like that and it was always worked like that, you're essentially leaving it up to individual states that are run in completely different ways to be completely driven to one side or the other.
But that's how it is now.
But we also, I mean, like, we're supposed to have like impeachment. Like, if a president does something bad, you can impeach them and like remove them. Or remove their ability to hold office. Like, we're supposed to have other checks on this stuff.
Yeah, but how often is a fucking president impeached? And now with the fucking SCOTUS, like, are you like, good luck impeaching a president ever again? Right, this is a fucking joke at this point. So
technically, Trump was impeached. He just wasn't convicted. But
oh, right, amazing, nice impeachment. North, you keep saying that that's the way it is now. Okay, so you're saying that it is the way it is, and nothing's going to change. So why implement something that changes nothing?
Because I think in a democratic society, I think this is the one thing that the Electoral College got wrong. Is even though we are a bunch of states coming together to vote for all of this, I feel like it's the individual voters within the states need to have a better representation within government, even if you disagree with that.
Yeah, but then you say to me that that's already the way it works, and I'm describing like that process existing the way it is.
How do you think it works now, boss?
Who, me?
Yeah, how do you think it works? I'm confused.
I'm pretty sure that America is split up into districts. Each district is going to have an elector, and those electors are going to represent the population within that district. And then they're going to go off to vote. And obviously, you've got people voting in favor of one candidate or the other candidate. And then the electors are going to insert their own like understanding within it. And most of the time, they're going to agree with the population, just relay that information up. Or they're going to do like insert some level of discrepancy at some levels to be able to like, even though the majority voted in favor of one side, the other gets voted.
That's okay. Did you mean district or do you mean state? Because states are divided into like districts.
Yeah. So the smallest level is district. So yeah.
Yeah. So some states like Nebraska and Maine divide their
and then
electoral votes into districts.
You have 2 electors per state or some shit like that. Yeah.
There's it's how many ever it's how many ever like congressional seats you have. So it's like how many ever you're apportioned in the House plus the 2 senators. But which gives small states more power as well. But you're kind of right. So Maine and Nebraska,
I get wrong about that?
Maine and Nebraska basically do. Well, I'm explaining, buddy. Maine and Nebraska basically do what you say, where they divide their own state into districts, and whoever wins the district gets an electoral vote for that district. So, like for Maine, usually Democrats win 1 district and get 1 electoral vote, and then like Republicans win 3 districts and get 3 electoral votes. However, in other states like California and like I think literally every other state, they don't divide their state into districts at all. So literally, just whoever wins to vote in California gets all of the electoral votes. So, if Kamala wins California by 1%, which that's not our margin there, but
wait, so they're not split up into districts everywhere?
Nope, because the states run their own election. They get to basically decide.
There's like 400 or 500, like, what are they, electors in the Electoral College, and you're saying to me that like they're all going to be going to one side or the other, and it's not split up into districts? Well, how
no, it's not within the individual state.
Oh wait, I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm disagreeing with.
Wait, so you want it to go back to the districts?
It's never been districts.
It's never been districts. I would like if the Republicans win Texas, I would like some Democrat electors to come out of that. Or if the Democrats win California, I would like Republicans to be able to get some electoral votes out of that, even if they didn't win the state like a majority. But that's how it is now.
Boy, I was genuinely convinced that it was split up into districts, and districts were the ones that were going to get signed an elector depending on the voting.
But if the majority wins California, then California is going to be Democrat. No matter what. All their electoral votes are going to go to the Democrats, assuming that, they don't like betray their voter base, so there's no laws against
But
them.
If you had done it by districts, then it would come out differently?
Yeah, then it would be like half of California's electoral votes would go to Republicans and half would go to Democrats. Really it'd be like 60-40 or whatever. But
yeah,
depending on what they voted for.
Yeah.
So
it is one of the reasons why I personally think our voter turnout is so low is because it's like, what's the point of voting a Republican in California if like your views are never going to get represented?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fucked. Wait, what the fuck? I thought it was like to do with districts. Wait, why the fuck have I been researching this for so long, and it always like splits it up into districts? It never mentioned that.
I think
the majority
are you confusing districts and states? Like the U.S. is split into 50 states.
No. Districts are like there are.
Right. Just joined.
Well, there are also different types of districts, but
districts is specifically in relation to the election. Like that's the way. That's the only time you will ever mention districts. It's only in relation to the elections and how elections happen.
I mean, there are electoral districts, but there's also like different court districts and like different like fucking aviation districts. Like district is a general term, but
fucking hell, people confuse the shit out of me every single time. Yeah, because that's the way they told it to me. Or when I was fucking researching this shit, they said to me that you've got states, then you've got counties, then you've got towns.
Well, yeah, okay.
Represented by municipalities.
Like a link in general. You can go to like 270 to win. I sent it in general. It's just an electoral map that you can play around with.
Yeah, but this is just showing states.
So you'll see some of them. You can see Maine. It's at the very top right.
Okay.
So Maine in the very top right, you see how it has like the 2 that's blue and the 1 that's red and the 1 that's dark blue.
Yeah.
That's because they divide their state into districts. So in that case, a Republican wins 1 district and Democrats win 3. Whereas most of the states don't do that. All the votes just go to whoever wins the vote there.
Wait, I'm so fucking confused because even though it represents as red, what I think is happening. Let's just take fucking one of these.
The same difference. Okay.
Let's just say California, for example. Now, what I think is going on in California, or at least I've been aware of, is California is split up into multiple different districts. We can talk maybe about 100 districts.
Well, yeah,
or something.
I mean, it's split. The thing is, it's split up into districts, but those districts don't have any effect on the Electoral College. You see how like all 54 are just blue? It's just whoever wins to vote there.
Yeah, there is not a single California Republican Electoral College vote.
Yeah, because they all voted Democrat.
It's like 60-40 or like 70-30. It's not like 100%.
If California had 50 or 49% Republican.
But I'm okay with that. Yeah, because they're saying that the majority, again, you said, it's 60-40. Okay, well then the state turns blue.
The issue is
it should be every single electoral vote should not go towards them, even if they win the majority.
Yeah, they should. They're represented by their state.
Well, this is what allows people who lose the popular vote to still win the Electoral College, is the fact that like you can get 49% of the vote and still not receive a single Electoral College vote in California, which seems like a little like weird that all those votes are just wasted.
Why would they do it that way?
Because the founders wanted to check on the tyranny of the majority.
Yeah, it's kind of whack.
Have proportional voting in 2 districts.
Yeah, you can look at the map. He's right. Nebraska, you see, is that one that has the 4 that are red and 1 that's blue.
I think it also doesn't help the fact that population sizes were a lot smaller.
I'm pretty sure, as you can see from my reaction, I'm surprised by what they're telling me unburdened, okay? And I'm not trying to gaslight them or lie to them or being bad faith in any way whatsoever. They seem to be right about this, and this is new knowledge to me, so fuck you for trying to shit on me for having balls to own up to not knowing something. All right. Good luck finding that yourself.
I appreciate that you are.
You should appreciate that. Yeah, you're not going to find a lot of people like me
who just like doubles down, even though.
No, I'm not like that. I take great pride in not being like that. Okay, so what were you guys saying?
We got 25 minutes till the debate.
We do have 25 minutes.
Wait, boss, I'm curious because now that you know how the Electoral College works, do you know?
Why are you laughing about this, you piece of shit?
How much do you know about the Trump fake electors thing? Do you understand how that scheme was supposed to work?
The only thing that I need to know in order to come to a conclusion, the same conclusion that I've come to, is that a certain conclusion came about, and this was agreed upon, and this is the way that things have been ruled for a very, very long time. And he claimed that it came about through illegitimate means, and it was a fake, and he tried to replace them with certain other false slate electors or whatever the fucking case was. Well, even though there was no reason to challenge it. Yeah, so it's
obviously
as far as
a little more complicated, but yeah, like all these electors are people, and all of them cast their own votes. And what Trump did is he had fake electors, people that were not certified by the state to be electors. He had them cast fake votes with an attempt to get Mike Pence to either read the fake slates, which Eastman later said that Pence didn't have the authority to do, or just not read any electors from the states that had contested slates of electors, in the hopes that they could either throw it to the House delegation, which is you don't need to worry about what that is. it would theoretically allow Trump to win, or allow time for states to certify the fake electors, and that way Pence could read the electors that have now been retroactively certified, and Trump would win.
Yeah. He was trying to fuck with the system in order to get what he wants, basically, in the most basic of terms, through illegitimate means. And I don't really need to know more than that in order to come to the same conclusion that I'm going to come to, even if I do dive into it and read all the details. Yeah, the conclusion is the same. As long as he did that, then that's fucked up. You shouldn't do that, because regardless of what we think about the system and the way that we're voting, we all agree that that is the way we vote and that is the way things are ruled. And prior to you running, you embrace that knowledge and you understand that in the event that you are run and you lose through those legitimate means, then you should accept the loss, which he refused to do so. And that is a sore loser and a fucking weirdo. So yeah, it doesn't really change my position on the matter. Okay, this is pretty interesting though. This is pretty interesting because as far as I was concerned, like the way I thought about it was like, again, California split up multiple different districts. Within those districts, you have a place that people go to vote for. They go to vote there. And then depending on their vote, there's going to be an elector assigned to them, again, depending on their vote. And if a majority...
Are you confusing like state governments with like how we decide like a national election?
Yeah,
maybe?
It's also... What you're describing is also kind of how the House of Representatives works. So... Like states are divided
what am I saying
also further into congressional districts. Congressional districts are like small districts within states
about those ones
that each elect a congressman.
Yes. Okay. I don't know. Is there like again? Like I'm pretty sure that New York and California have a huge number of electors because there is a vast majority of the population that are within those regions. And as a result, they get more districts than everybody else. And because they get more districts, they get more electors. I know that to be the case. Yeah.
So what those districts are used for is not the Electoral College. What they're used for is Congress. Is each state gets a certain number of congressmen. And those people are elected in individual districts. So like California has Republican congressmen still because some districts in California are Republican.
So when I say electors, I should be saying congressmen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're talking about the Electoral College, you should be saying electors. If you're talking about Congress, you should be saying congressmen.
I am talking about the Electoral College. Or at least I think I am. I am saying electors, but it seems to be the case that I should be saying
What's up, Golden Snakey? Welcome back.
Okay, I'm a bit confused. Okay,
wait, Congress and the Electoral College are two different things.
Okay, Congress votes on bills and passes bills and policies. It doesn't elect the next president, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the Electoral College, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and then we have people who vote, and depending on their vote, an elector will be assigned to that district or to that state, as we've clearly understood it. Here, correct? Okay, brilliant. And then that elector will vote either blue or red, depending on whoever is the winner, correct?
Of this, yeah.
Okay. And then, and there's like 400 or 500 of them in total throughout the United States.
538, correct? Yep.
Okay, so I don't understand what the disagreement seems to be coming in. Okay, I'm saying that if you even if you did split California up into different regions, because we have a problem with this district word, regions, whatever, and within those different regions, again, we're doing it by populace, so wherever it's more populated, they're going to get more regions, and places where they're less there's less people, they're going to get less regions. Nevada would be a good example. Wyoming would also be another one. These would get less regions because there's less people living there. Obviously, they get less of a vote. We want to represent the most amount of people as possible. So in California, a lot of regions, and within those regions, people will vote, and then an elector will be assigned to them who will, for the most part, vote in their favor. But they also have a little bit of caveat there where they can also go against what the majority are saying, correct?
All right. Well, the electors, in theory, can go against what the majority says in some states.
Correct. And then in California, it seems like once we've added up all those regions and we've come to a consensus, it seems like 60% have voted in favor of the Democrats, and thus the entire state turns blue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. So you could imagine like a case where...
I get your argument. Your argument is that's not fair because,
here, do you see like
why does that 40% that voted in favor of red not be represented in California? Because that's a huge number of people. My argument is, they shouldn't be represented in that area, considering the majority have decided in favor of otherwise. And that state represents a huge amount of people.
So
and as long as
why should they
never gonna,
vote at
it
all?
will never be perfect.
Going to be represented.
Because you also have
let me
the
send
option.
this link.
Yeah. I know you guys think that I'm misunderstanding something here, but I'm not really misunderstanding. The reality is I'm just okay with something that you guys are not okay with. Yeah.
So this was the 2016 election. So Hillary won the popular vote, but Trump still won the Electoral College because, like, in in states like Michigan, even though Michigan was split like 50-50, all of the electoral votes go to Trump, even though Trump
but this is the problem, right? We don't get to play around with this system whenever it suits our agenda. So if we're going to agree to abide by this rule, then this is an outcome that can arise.
It suits a broadly like democratic agenda. Like I would rather like if Trump wins the popular vote, then like he should like we're a constitutional republic. Like fuck, I should have campaigned harder. Like it's fine that he won, although I mean but really,
you're just arguing against the Electoral College, and you don't like the Electoral College.
Arguing against the Electoral College.
You are.
I don't really like the Electoral College, but there are ways to reform it.
I don't have a problem with the Electoral College.
Yes,
I think
you do.
The states have a right to determine how their electoral votes are like distributed, right? I just think that it should be reformed on a state level. That's what I think. I'm not saying we should get rid of
so you want to make it only states? You don't want any district?
Well, states already have the right
the states
to do this.
have a right to decide. Originally how it was, the states would literally just be like, there would be like this oligarchy of like self-appointing like representatives. It was like a committee.
Oh, and they just all happen to be landowners.
No. They were like
they probably could only be landowners for a while,
group,
but yeah.
And they
I
would
know
literally
it was.
just choose.
North doesn't know it, but that's
I don't know. They were probably some very rich people.
They were only rich people, hence why they stopped doing that, because they didn't represent the people. They represented landowners.
Then they changed it so
because of that.
They changed it to be more democratic, and
correct,
because the states have a right to determine how their electoral votes are chosen, and I think it can happen again. You can change it again. There's nothing stopping you. It's not like we're trying to pass an amendment or like this is literally within the rights of the states to do this.
Because at face value, what you guys are saying is comprehensible. It reaches my ears and it is completely sound. And it's like, hey, this will be more fair because you're going to have more representation. And guess what? If the majority of California is, even if it's a minority, but it's like 45% of California is voting in favor of a Republican, their vote should be taken into consideration when it comes to who the president should be. My argument, though, is that if that's the case, then you're basically, and you guys want to break it down into this subsection where you are essentially rendering the Electoral College useless, because even in the matter that you were to break it down, even in the matter that you were going to get rid of this and you were going to make California vote on basis of districts or whatever the fucking case is, and it would take that into consideration. Okay, then, but does the Electoral College still have a say in the matter? Like, do you think that they should have that right to change the electoral the vote as they do now in those niche cases in order to prevent majority rule?
I think, are you saying that like they have the right to flip their vote if they?
Yes.
No, I think a representative should be beholden to their population.
Okay, non-farm.
No, I think there are better, more effective checks that are more democratic, like impeachment and like the 14th Amendment. And there's got to
even after the SCOTUS, even after the recent SCOTUS.
I disagree with some of the SCOTUS stuff. Obviously,
I know you disagree with it, but yeah.
But like states still even have the right to kick people off the ballot for state elections. If they deem them to be an insurrection, it's just that they can't kick them off in federal elections.
So any conclusion is you guys are in favor of, if in America there are 300 million people and all 300 million of them are voting and 200 million vote in favor of Trump, you want Trump to be president.
I mean, that's not.
Yeah. yeah, like that's.
Would you say like I want Trump? Like I want whoever wins the popular vote to be president? Essentially,
to be president, but like
no, not you personally. You feel that's fair, and you will abide by that. You will agree to it.
Party. Is my stream laggy? I can't do anything about it. It fucking sucks that my Wi-Fi is doing this, but
works. And that's how what I'm proposing how it would work. But
here we go.
We'll live.
Here we go. What if those 200 million were uneducated, poor as fuck, okay, retards who couldn't comprehend their fucking feet from their hands?
Are you one of those?
No, just listen to me. Just listen to me, because you know what where I'm going with this. And the other 100 million were actually uneducated.
Yeah, I literally restored my Wi-Fi. My family is not even using my Wi-Fi. I literally don't know what the problem is. I think it's just a spectrum issue.
Go in what favor, and as a result, they're voting for president candidate A, and the other 200 million retards are voting for president B. Because as far as they're concerned, when you're a retard, you don't really give a fuck about policies. The guy has a nice car, and that's why they're voting for him. So, would you love to see where that country goes? Would you love to gamble on where that country ends up at?
Okay, do you believe that there should be requirements to vote?
I believe you should respond to my question first of all.
Because you're giving the classic,
I
think the classic argument of the uneducated voter. Look, a democracy is meant to include everyone.
I know it does. I know it does. So answer the question then.
I think if someone's poor and uneducated and they wanted to vote for someone, and if a majority
I'm not saying that uneducated poor. No, you are totally.
So you're saying you're asking me how I think that nation will turn out. Is that what
I'm asking you, North? You live in that country, and you are a part
and then he lost fair and square the second
time.
You
live in that country, and the decision that happens to happen will affect you. And as a result, would you be okay?
It's just my Wi-Fi is broken, but there's nothing I can do to fix it. It's a spectrum problem.
And make
it's not
progress
it's not
if
a me
that
problem.
Is the way that things are decided upon.
I couldn't say whether it's going to prosper or not.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Because when we make decisions in the world, we tend to make them when we see that it works in our best interest. We don't make decisions because it feels nice and seems nice, when in reality, I can think of a very fucking easy and obvious answer there, which is actually pretty realistic.
Just like I am now. It'll just be like, I'm assuming it's a little bit pixelated for you or something.
Hence why we have the problem with the majority rule, which is the thing that both of you are in favor of. The idea and principle of the people being represented entirely for what it is a beautiful idea, and it's amazing that you guys think that. But the reality is, when applied in real life, it looks like shit. So it's not pragmatical.
Well, I think democracy as a system is better than any other system. That's why I advocate for it as a system. Obviously, a system that is preferable to other systems is still going to have outcomes that I don't like sometimes. But
amazing. So then say to me that you want the districts to be represented, and you want it to be split up percentage-wise, but the Electoral College can have a say in the matter, because the whole reason the Electoral College exists is for that specific reason, in order to avoid that potential outcome.
Well, what I want is whoever wins the popular vote to win the election.
The Electoral College was meant to represent the individual states in their matter. That's like the whole point of it. The reason why we don't have like a national vote is to represent the individual states in the election, because we're a United States,
amazing,
as in like plural. So that's why we have.
You guys are right constitutionally, but I think 32 states have laws against faithless electors. And I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court has deemed those laws legal, but I mean, you're right, constitutionally.
Okay, so we built something that can do something without the intention of it doing that thing?
It has the side effect of doing that thing, but that's like not the primary
and
purpose.
You think that we didn't care about it.
Now I think it doesn't even represent individual states anymore if you're ignoring 40% of your voter base in the state.
Let me understand this. So previously, you thought that we didn't even care about it, just something that happened. Now you've gone over to actually it's a side effect, So what I'm insinuating is that was intentional, and that's not actually
I'm aware it's not a thing in the
minority or a minor thing.
Well,
that's actually one of the major reasons
in Nebraska.
The fact that they have that type of power to be able to influence the decision is something that was directly thought about and implemented.
I'm kind of lost in their conversation now. I don't even know what they're on about.
That's why it exists. It also exists for what you said, but it also exists for that reason. It's a very, very big one. Like the idea that the population is voting in one way and the electoral college can say, no, fuck you guys, we're voting completely opposite. The fact that that exists, there is no world where that is implemented without the direct intention of it existing for that specific purpose. So yes, it's obvious one of the main reasons why it exists. So I'm okay with you guys splitting up state-wise and percentage.
On a candidate is like, do you think was more democratic? Do you think it's impeachment, or do you think it's faithless electors who vote against their population?
I think both of these things are ways to mitigate it. One is prior, and the other one's after. So,
well, that's kind of the point. Well, it doesn't
why should we go? Okay, so here's the
problem.
problem, right? So faithless electors exist because something could be apparently obvious. Can be apparently obvious prior to it happening. In other words, a president could be so dog shit at face value, like I literally just explained like 5 minutes ago, that they shouldn't even get the chance to run. And in the event that they got past, the impeachment process should exist to get them out. So both of those processes should exist, and that's why they exist.
Well, but if they're so fucking dumb or whatever that they shouldn't even get the chance, I don't see why they. Well, I shouldn't say I don't see why they wouldn't be impeached because Trump wasn't successfully impeached.
Yeah,
but
you can argue that they can update the system and try to like adapt to it and like make it so the faithless or faithless electors are basically like there are requirements or certain criteria, or you can even break states up into districts and like all of that type of shit. But maybe they get more electors per district, or once you've done that, because then you can like, if it's like 60-40, then they will get like 2 representatives for one party and 1 for the other. Like you can change this up a little bit without destroying the entire thing and throwing it out. But you guys just want to throw the baby out with the fucking bathwater here. So
well, I think all North wants to do, North wants to keep the electoral college, but he wants to make it based on districts.
He keeps saying this, but then when I ask him, hey, do you like the electoral college? He says, no, I want the people he doesn't vote in one way, and then they get what they vote for. There's no electoral college say in that matter. The whole point is the faithless electors
still have a say. Like there could still be faithless electors, even with districts, there could still be faithless electors.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. That's what I'm in favor of. He's not, because every time he talks about it, he doesn't like the idea of the electoral college implementing their own ideas, which would mean that there is no faithless electors. And if you don't have any faithless electors, then what the fuck is the purpose of the electoral college? They're just relaying the information of the voters up to fucking Congress. The end. They're not doing anything else. And that can be done without
states
them.
Can get rid of their faithless. I don't know what North's opinion on faithless electors is, but like states can legislate getting rid of their faithless electors if they want to. Just like states can legislate electoral college districts if they want to. Also, we have 4 minutes till the debate.
I'm trying to find it now. Okay.
American government for arbitrary states to vote too early in a primary. It's not really. It's still ridiculous and democratic. I wonder if there debates on the topic. There probably are, but like it's not really like.
Okay,
I don't know. I don't think there's really
live now from Fox.
No, I'm not watching fucking Fox. NBC.
I have it on NBC News on YouTube. It's also on like Disney Plus if you have Disney Plus. It's on like Disney Plus and Hulu.
I'm not getting Disney Plus. Fuck that shit.
I'm good, thanks.
Are we? Were you all gonna leave the call when this starts?
I'll deafen myself for most of it, but I feel like if there's something
I'm gonna deafen myself as well.
Yeah, just do you guys. If you want to stay in the call, stay. If you want to leave, leave. If you want to mute, no worries.
Her team really make sure that she
all right, let's see.
So that's also a big challenge that I'll be watching for, how she does that. Back to you.
All right, Yamiche, thank you so much. And let's turn now to NBC's Dasha Burns, who covers the Trump campaign and joins us now. What are you hearing?
Hopefully they don't copyright strike me for this. They didn't copyright strike the first one, so I think we'll be good.
Well, look, Savannah, you've heard the former president say time and again that he does not do traditional debate prep, that campaigning is his prep. But we are told by sources that over the last few days, he has been hunkered down at Mar-a-Lago. He's been doing extensive policy sessions, and watch for him to do two things tonight. Two things that
let's see him answer the child care question again.
Vice President Harris to President Biden, make her own what's going on with the economy, what's going on with immigration, and number two, remind voters
too cool to prep. True. I mean, I don't think he I don't think Trump does much prep. He's very good at winging it. Well, very good is a weird term to use.
Those moderate swing voters in places like the suburbs of Philadelphia.
He has a capacity to do it. He just
campaign wants, but it's all going to be about the execution.
Good is subjective, you know. Some people don't like it. I don't really think it's that presidential.
All right, Dasha,
but
thank you.
Let's bring back Kristen Welker and Hallie Jackson. I want to talk about how the vice president has cast herself in this campaign as the prosecutor. Going against Donald
versus
Trump.
Felon.
Are there limits to that in this format, do you think, of coming off in a prosecutorial way?
Absolutely. When I've spoken to allies who are close to her, they say her biggest challenge tonight is getting specific but not too specific. She's got to tell the story of how a Harris administration would differ from a Biden administration. That word we keep using, change. How would she change things right now? Does she acknowledge to some extent that the economy is not where she wants it to be, and really lay out in more detail what she wants to see? Yes, she's going to prosecute the case against Donald Trump on a range of different issues. She'll accuse
Are you kidding me?
Of switching his opinion, particularly when it comes to the issue of abortion and reproductive rights. But again, she's got to walk that fine line.
Yeah, but she also has to answer for some changes in her own positions. Of course, she ran for president in 2020. She came across and positioned herself as a much more progressive type of candidate. Now she's really moving to the middle here in a general election.
Crowded primary, right? Back in 2019, 2020, she has moved away from that on issues like, for example, mandated gun buybacks for automatic rifles, something that she no longer supports. Fracking, for example, something that she has changed her position on as well. You look at Medicare for All, a position that she's backed away from. Watch for the former president to try to go after some of these issues. And I'll tell you, to bring it back to the voters, that panel with Kate Snow is super interesting. The economy came up again and again. And even though this summer, for the first time, inflation dipped below 3% for the first time since March of 2021.
Or CPI, which is kept up by its equivalent rent.
How does Vice President Harris address that moving forward?
And let me briefly go there and talk about his physical performance. It's been noted by many that the former president has tended to be more rambling, disjointed in many of his answers at a time that we were focusing on Joe Biden.
Sad fracking is pretty disgusting. Yeah, I understand the shift though, because of how high oil prices were.
Now, 9 o'clock on the East Coast here in New York and in Philadelphia, the room where it's about to happen. We're just seconds away now.
I don't know if a federal fracking ban is necessarily good.
Last presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump.
Biden did do a lot for green energy still.
These candidates have met in person, and it's happening on a debate stage. Also, the first debate since President Biden left the race over the summer and Harris became the Democratic nominee. A lot has happened in a very compressed period of time.
Yes, it has, and we have a few moments until the debate starts. We will join it. ABC News is broadcasting it, but we will simulcast it right here in its entirety. It's taking place at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia.
And like June's debate,
locals, you should love it.
Tonight.
National Constitution Center.
Microphones will be muted while the other one is talking. Each candidate will get 2 minutes for answers. There will be closing statements, but no opening statements. So we expect them to probably mix it up rather early in this as they stake out their positions and we get a sense of where all this is going.
And the mics are muted when the other is talking. So let's take you to Philadelphia.
I already mentioned that, but.
And the first presidential debate of 2024.
All right, baby.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's
and okay, will you vote for Kamala if she does good?
and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be
Sorry,
turned
I
on
just
when
choked on my own fucking drink. Fuck you.
Allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for two candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
All right.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both.
Trump did not want to shake her hand, it looked like.
Both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their #1 issue, and that is
inflation.
The economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
Real GDP is higher than pre-COVID projections.
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people
Or
of
the
America.
opportunity economy.
I believe in the ambition,
Why is
the
Trump looking
the
sleepy?
dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too
let's
expensive
go.
for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
Bro, I wish you would mention more about how inflation's come down without bringing unemployment up.
My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner.
I guess I can come off as gaslighting voters if voters really think the economy is doing bad. But
$50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide
tax
a
cuts
tax
to the
cut
wealthy,
for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax,
I know, it's literally,
which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy.
Causal inference is my passion.
Which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history.
Oh my God.
21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80%
what
higher.
when we were at 9% inflation.
This has been a disaster for
that
people.
was the worst it got to, right? I think it was 11%.
On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country.
God, I wish people knew what fucking owner's equivalent rent is, so Kamala Harris could say inflation is kept up by owner's equivalent rent. But people don't know. People don't know.
Jobs
they don't
are
know.
occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield,
Your fucking tariffs led to a decrease in manufacturing jobs.
They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality. and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump
In practice, though, it's not how it functions, isn't
Donald
it?
Trump
How what
left
functions?
us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald
Oh,
Trump
sorry, you're
left
replying to
us
someone.
the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's
Brendan's
mess.
election ever been sworn by faithless? I don't think he's ever been sworn by faithless electors, no.
On what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all, in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a
hopefully this works out well. Hopefully Trump actually does this.
That the former president intends
taking a bit of a risk here.
If he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute.